All right, so today we are with Kopila, who lives in Denver, or Denver area, right? Aurora
Boulder. Boulder.
Boulder.
Yes.
Boulder.
Close.
And she's my brother's girlfriend and
Yeah.
from Nepal.
Yes.
Um, and so tell us a little about, besides my brief introduction, who you are and so forth.
All right. So my name is Kopila. I lived in Nepal until I was about 5, and ever since then I've been living in Colorado. But I have a lot of family here, so I've grown up pretty immersed in the Nepal culture, I would say.
My apologies.
Oh, you're good. I'm 21. I am going to be a rising senior in the fall at CU Boulder. I'm a psychology major. Other than that, yeah, that's about it.
What, a rising senior?
Yes, that means I'm going to be a senior in the fall. I'm technically not like a senior yet, but
Okay, gotcha.
yeah.
All right, so uh, let's get into Nepal first. Some of the, of course, link in the description of the video. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure I put the some of the basic facts about, or at least a link to some of the basic facts about Nepal.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Nepal is that the flag is different. Is
Yeah.
it a square or a rectangle?
It's both. Oh wait. Oh no, it's not a square or a rectangle. It's like shaped
Two
like
triangles.
yeah, there's 2 triangles. It's actually the only flag in the world that's not a rectangle or a square, which is pretty cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
So let's get into some of the questions. So Kara wants to know, what's the main language in Nepal?
So Nepali is the main language, but honestly, like there are so many different cultures in Nepal that like each, I guess, like caste or culture can speak their own language, but Nepali is the main language that everyone like learns how to speak when they're born.
Okay, so like your family, how many languages did your parents know growing up?
So my family, we're of like the Gurung caste, and they have their like own separate language, but we're not the best Gurungs, I guess, because we don't know how to speak it. Yeah, like my grandpa is actually the last person who can like speak it. I can understand like 2 words. Other than that, like it's pretty dead. But that's because like we came from a part of Nepal that didn't really have a high number of Gurung people, so it kind of died down.
Okay. So then, what was the first language you learned then growing up?
Oh, Nepali.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And we already have some questions right here. Nolan wants to know, what is the weather like in Nepal?
So you would think that since like Mount Everest is in Nepal that it would snow there, but it actually doesn't. It's actually fairly warm there most of the time, except during monsoon season, which is like usually over the summer. It rains there like a lot, and even then it's not cold. It's usually just really hot and humid, but it never really gets cold there unless you really go further up into the mountains. So it's like pretty nice climate, I would say, kind of tropical,
Okay.
no ocean.
Would you say most of the people live up in the mountains or in the lower parts where it's more humid and warm?
I think most people live in the lower parts. Like, I think it's actually pretty rare. Not rare, but like not as much people live like higher up in the mountains because it's way harder to live up there. Like, it's agriculturally and stuff like that. Like you can't really make a life, or you can't really like raise a family unless your family's been doing it for generations and they have knowledge passed down of how to do that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, not great for the people living in the mountains, but
Yeah.
good information.
Yeah.
Amanda wants to know, how has COVID-19 affected Nepal?
So anything about COVID I've heard through my dad, but basically what I've heard is that like since the government is kind of authoritarian, like kind of it's a communist country, they can kind of do whatever they want. Ever since I think they had like their first 6 cases, after that the whole country was on lockdown, and I'm pretty sure if you like left your house, you could have gotten like beaten up by the police or anything, and it was not against the law. So pretty
Wow.
strict, yeah. Yeah.
So that's much harsher than than
Oh,
our stay-at-home orders in
we
the
don't
United States.
have individual rights in Nepal. That's not really a thing, like sadly, especially
Yeah.
for a girl too. But yeah.
So how are things then? How are things different for between boys and girls than in Nepal?
Well, I think there's just like a traditional view that obviously still lingers around, and then there's like a more modernized view. And the traditional view would be like pretty conservative, like girls are just there to take care of the children, they cook and clean and whatnot. And then I would say like the more modern view of it, if like their family is more well off and like their children are more educated, like they'd probably go into like nursing or just some type of field that's considered more lucrative, not yeah, something like that.
Okay. So do you think, um, you're studying in university here in the United States
Mhm.
to your degree in psychology.
Yeah.
Um, would you be able to do that in Nepal?
Um, I think like for me personally, like maybe just because like I am from Nepal originally, but even though like I'm from Nepal, like there's socially like there's just a lot of questions that you don't ask other people, you know? It's not like in America where like free speech is a thing, like you can't just like go and ask people like deep questions about themselves or their lives, you know? Like some people might take a lot of offense to that. Especially if it was like an outsider, that would probably be worse. Like
Gotcha.
more time to earn their trust.
Let's see. Lauren wants to know what are some unique traditions that people in Nepal have?
Again, like there are so many castes, like there are so many unique traditions, but one of the unique traditions for my caste is that I actually got my nose pierced when I was like a baby. I don't remember it. I honestly, I kind of feel bad saying this. I don't know why that, like, why I did that, but I have it. So yeah.
Wow. So
And
that's way different. You don't see many babies in the United States having
oh,
their.
not even just my nose. I actually had like both of my ears pierced too when I was a baby, like at home. Like I don't think like piercing shops there, like at least when I was born in '98, I don't think that they were that big. So like mostly you just got pierced at home with like a needle from a tree or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same go to Claire's experience that that American girls have.
No, not really.
Um, let's see. Let's go to some other questions. So, what about the food in Nepal?
Okay, so my favorite food personally, they're called momos. I guess they're better known as dumplings in America. Some people call them pot stickers, but I think they're like not the same thing at all because pot stickers you eat with soy sauce and momos you have this like special tomato, like it's almost like salsa, but I just think it's way better. But you guys, if you guys ever go to Nepal or ever get the chance to go to a Nepali restaurant, try momos. Like
Momos.
yeah, steamed momos. It will not disappoint you, hopefully.
Is that one of the things you had a picture of?
Yes, it is. Oh, here. I could share my screen. Here it is right here.
Oh wow, those do look good.
Yeah, like my mouth is kind of watering looking at them because I don't get to eat it that much, especially being in college.
And it's like a tomato sauce.
Yeah, and it's like everything's made from like home, it's scratch made, like so. Just even
Cool.
that it's like the OG like dumplings. I don't know. That's what I think. I think pot stickers are kind of took over, but yeah.
Awesome. Let's see. We already talked about the system of government, and let's see. So, what about when? Let's, so, Kate wants to know, and this is always an interesting thing for people who live in multiple countries.
Mhm.
Do you guys still have to pay taxes in Nepal?
So for me personally, I don't because like I don't have any money in Nepal, but my parents have to because they do own like some land there, and the more money you have, the more taxes you pay. So
Gotcha.
tax system works, yeah.
Let's see. Bill has a good question. If I were to visit, Nepal, where would you recommend me to go and why?
Okay, so I would recommend that you go to Pokhara. It's spelled Pokhara. It's actually like one of the top tourist destinations in Nepal. There's this huge lake there, and There's also like the Annapurna base camp. You can also like last time I went there, I went on like this horse ride, and you can go to caves and like if you want to get away from like Kathmandu and like the city and like just go into the mountains and actually see like the real Nepal, I would go there.
Okay, what would you say that one more time? What was it called?
Pokhara. Here, I can type it in here.
Okay,
And
yeah.
you guys look up pictures of Pokhara, Nepal. You guys will see the lake. Like you guys will know what I'm talking about. It's beautiful.
All right, let me get. There.
Yeah.
Okay, Pokhara.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's there's an awesome lake there, and it sounds like a really cool place to visit.
Yeah, there's actually a Nepali food named after. It's like you can like anything that you fry in like chickpea batter. You can call it. It's pronounced differently. It's pakora, but like you know, a place is good if they name a food after it. You know.
That's for sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. What's an important historical event in Nepal?
In 2001, the Nepal used to actually have a royal family, and they were actually all massacred by the king. His younger, I don't know if it was his, I know, yeah, it was his younger brother killed like 9 members of the royal family, and like I know about this because like I grew up in America, but my dad would always tell me about it and like how different Nepal would probably be today if they weren't like killed because they were not corrupt. You know, they actually cared about the well-being of Nepal a lot more than the current government. So yeah.
So there was a royal family,
Mm-hmm.
and is there anyone left from the royal family?
I don't think so. Not anyone that like they would consider like that could lead. You know, like
Yeah,
none of the men or like anything like that. And it was his own younger brother, so like yeah.
man. And this is within the past 20 years. You don't hear about.
And I think it's because like 2001, you know, it was same year as 9/11, so
Yeah.
like that obviously got more broadcasting.
Here's a question for well, both Lauren and Amanda are asking: are sports big in Nepal,
So
and can you watch them on TV?
like yes, if you have a TV or internet, I guess, but compared to America, I wouldn't like not really. Like there's no like tailgating, like no one like you know like I don't think there's like a big sports culture just because it's not as developed and like not many people can like they don't have like the time or the luxury to like watch sports or really care about them, you know.
Yeah,
But,
that makes sense.
but I would say the biggest sport in Nepal is definitely cricket, and then after that would be football or American soccer.
Okay. And you mentioned, if you have a TV or the internet,
Yeah,
would you say most of the people in Nepal have those things, or?
no. I would say like most of Nepal, like and the economy is mostly agriculture, you know, like it runs on that. And like there's only like a small percentage of people in Nepal that are like what you would say like well off. And like most of those people either they have family like outside of Nepal, like say America, or they just I don't know, they just got lucky because like it's really hard to like be successful in Nepal.
Yeah.
So
What about the wildlife there? What are some animals that you see in Nepal?
well, in Kathmandu, you're not going to see much. You might see some monkeys around some temples, but if you go to Titwan National Park, you can like go see elephants and hippos. Last time I was there, I think I saw a camel, saw a hippo, saw a few elephants. But here, I can also type that out too. A few hours away from Kathmandu, but it's really pretty. I would say the most common animal you're probably going to find in Nepal is probably a monkey, but there's also a lot of stray dogs too, sadly, and like there's no like shelter system, you know, there. So, but yeah.
So there's not the same
Like
concern about
and
dogs that you have
yeah,
in the United States.
not really. It's pretty sad. Like like especially in Kathmandu or any big city, like walking around and seeing like a lot of like malnourished dogs, you know, that are like not well taken care of is pretty common.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Um, what what's something unique about Nepal?
Well, I don't think most people know this now because the part of Nepal that Buddha was born in is now a part of India, but like originally Buddha was actually born in Nepal. So I think that's pretty cool.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think I think most people think it's India, but that's because the part of Nepal that I used to be in, like India, like took over. So,
Yeah. So what is the religion that that's predominant in Nepal then?
honestly, I don't think there's a predominant religion. I would say it's like it's split down. It's split 50-50 between Hinduism and Buddhism. Because like my family, like we kind of do a little bit of both, but a little bit more on the Hinduism side. But it just depends on what part of Nepal you're from, and like yeah.
Okay. Um, let's see. What's your favorite part about Nepal?
Probably the people. They're really nice. They're really generous people. I mean, like, I know it sounds cliche, but like you know, like people that like don't have much are like a lot nicer, you know, because like they just live
Yeah.
like day to day. They don't care about like material possessions, and I think that's something I've heard from a lot of people that I've also gone to Nepal is like the people are really generous there and really nice.
Okay. You said before you were talking about how like an outsider, be kind of hard for them to kind of break into that, but
Yeah,
once you're
yeah.
in, then you're
Well, I mean, I think it would be hard for an outsider to like ask a bunch of like personal questions.
okay. 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 Gotcha.
Nepali people are usually very, very nice to like tourists, you know.
Let's see. Um, oh, Mariah wants to know, is it big or small?
Um,
And I think, let's see, I think I remember uh, to put this on. Let me check to make sure uh, that I have the link to. Yeah, yeah, right below the video on YouTube, there is the link to the CIA World Factbook, and that will have some of the main basic facts about the country. But on the map, it looks pretty small.
it's really small.
But there are a lot of people there, right?
Yeah, it's really small though. Which yeah, it's definitely over. I mean, like I would always say like the cities are like overcrowded because like most people live like the rural lifestyle to like in search of a better life to go to the cities and like they're not like it's not a developed country, you know. That's why it's like so overcrowded. But especially being right in between India and China, it's really small. Like, and that's also why like India keeps like kind of it keeps taking land from Nepal because it's such a small country and it's like much more powerful than Nepal, and they kind of know that, you know. And if like Mount Everest was there on to block China from coming in, like that, like Nepal would have been part of China with Tibet a while ago.
Yeah.
So
So, how do people in Nepal view the countries around them then?
um, it's kind of weird. Like there's kind of like this like not I don't know, like not like tension, but like I guess Nepali people like most people don't really like you know like Indian people or like Chinese people just because I think they kind of view them as like bullies just because like they're such bigger countries and like Nepal is a small like the weakest country out of the three. But ironically, like most people in Nepal like they only watch like Bollywood like movies or like shows or like Korean um like you know like dramas and stuff like that. So I don't really know. It's yeah.
That kind of leads into the next question. So, what kind of entertainment what do people do for fun in Nepal?
I would say if you like if you live in an urban setting and like you're like not like dirt poor, you probably go on Facebook a lot, like hang out with your friends and go out to eat and like shop. I know TikTok is really big in Nepal right now. I personally don't use it, but I just know it's really big in Nepal right now. Um, but like I think our like Hollywood Nepal is called Kollywood, and they're like I don't think they're doing much. So that's why most people in Nepal watch like Bollywood movies, and because of that, actually, a lot of people in Nepal can actually understand Hindi because it's like pretty similar to Nepali, and
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's I know that it like watching shows and stuff is a way a lot of people do learn languages.
And like they do it as like their source of entertainment, you know. So like that's all they watch. Or Korean, like depends.
Yeah. Let's see. In Nepal, um, what what side of the road do people drive on?
It would be the left side of the road. Like
Okay, so
not the opposite of America.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you got it right.
Yeah. I had to think about it.
Okay, so like India probably does, and most other British colonies do.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see. We talked about you talked about like your favorite food there, but is there like a snack food that's really big in Nepal?
I mean, honestly, like there like I remember when I was younger, like I would have like some. I don't remember what they're called, but like now that I'm older and like I grew up in America, I can't go back and eat like the street food or like honestly like I can't really eat that much unless like I know it comes from like a clean place just because like the water there is not clean. So
Okay.
honestly, I don't really have one. But they have fresh fruit there, like growing on the side of the roads, and like that's nice.
Cool. Let's see. Here's another good question. So, what do people in Nepal think about Americans?
Oh, they people in Nepal think that America is like the elite lands, like that is the place to be, like that is where like your dreams come true. Basically, um, they think that like if you or any of your family members like have the opportunity to make it to America, that's basically winning the lottery. And actually, there is a lottery system in Nepal where you can instead of getting money, you actually get a visa to get to come to America. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a big deal.
And what's your experience been then as a Nepali person living in the United States, living in the being in the United States?
What do you mean? Like living here, going back?
Let's see. I guess a little bit of both. Do you uh, do you feel like you're treated differently or anything?
Oh yeah, but I mean, I think that's just America. But um, obviously not all the time. But I think the most annoying thing for me is people always try to like guess where I'm from, which and instead of asking me, which is kind of annoying. Or like when I tell them like I'm from Nepal. Like sometimes I've gone like, oh, like I didn't know that was a real country, and I'm just like, like I cannot believe you just said that. So stuff like that. But when I go back to Nepal, I'm like a celebrity because like people can tell when you're like not from Nepal when you're like an outsider, they would say. But like so like everyone just stares at me basically.
What's school like for kids in Nepal?
um well, I'm gonna try to think. Definitely way different than here. I remember when I was in school, I was like in what they called like nursery, which is like preschool. Even then, like getting hit with like a stick on your hand or like stuff like that, like that's not abnormal. So, and most of the schools, like most of the really elite schools in Nepal, they're actually boarding schools. So like people, stay and live there.
Okay, yeah, you have some of that in the United States, but not much.
Yeah, not really. Yeah.
Um, let's see. What kind of games do kids play in Nepal?
I know kids in the villages, like just like from my own like memory, like we
Sure.
play with like actually like literal rocks and like just throw them in the air and like try to juggle them kind of. But people that are children that like are fortunate enough to grow up with like a well-off family, they could probably play like video games that we play in America.
Gotcha. Let's see. Here's a question. So if I were to travel there, would there be precautions I would need to take to be safe?
Yes. So Definitely do not forget iodine, like, or some type of water filter. Like, you can buy treated water there, but you kind of have to go out of your way and look for it. And I think like it'd be easier just to drink like water, just to treat your own water. I would definitely like try to familiarize yourself with like the language and even like maybe reading and writing, or if not, like try to find a tour guide, because like if you don't know how to speak the language, like you're not gonna like get anywhere, because like most people in Nepal don't know how to speak English.
Gotcha. Yeah, so some countries it's easier. There's a lot of people who speak English, and
Yeah.
Nepal is not one of those, I guess.
No, I mean like my cousins on my mom's side, they speak like fluent English, but like that's because they went to school and stuff, and like that's like a very small like portion of Nepal. So it'd be pretty ignorant to come in to like go into the country thinking that you can travel with English, because you definitely can't.
My battery is running out, so I'm going to move where I am. All right, there we go. Not quite a graceful transition.
Oh, you're fine.
Let's see. So you mentioned that there's another question about how much money that people make.
Yeah.
You mentioned there's a lot of poverty in Nepal.
Yeah.
So how do people try to? Are there a lot of people who, like in the United States, there's kind of this belief, hey, anyone can make it.
Oh no.
Yeah, we don't have that in Nepal.
No, it's actually like it's the other way around, which is really sad, obviously, but
yeah.
And actually, the in Nepal we use the rupee, and it's actually worth a lot less than $1. And I actually looked it up today. And because of Corona, it's actually lower, but $1 is still worth, like right now, it's still worth 75 rupees. And like when the economy was like stable and stuff, it was like $1 is worth like 123 rupees. So there's a lot of inflation and stuff.
Yeah.
As you can imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Who's an important person who lives there today?
It's a good question. I'm not really sure, honestly.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay to say you don't know.
Because I can't like think of a name.
What about the clothes people wear?
Okay, so I actually have so it really depends, again, if you grow up in like an urban setting or a rural setting, because let me just pull up these pictures. Okay. So this right here, like what the lady on the left is wearing, or I guess both. It's called a kurta sural, and that's one of like the most like traditional like dresses that women in Nepal wear, just casually, and then there's like nicer versions of it for like formal events like holidays and such.
Sure.
And then this is a sari, and that's kind of the same thing, but kind of wraps around. And then I would say that like girls in like more like urban, like more developed areas, like they wear like clothes that we would wear, but way more conservative. Like they would never wear like a crop top or like super short shorts or like anything like that,
Gotcha. Let's see. I know we have pictures of these too. What type of houses do people live in?
Where did it go? So this is the first picture I chose, but like this is like such a small like portion of Nepal's population that like you should like not even just forget about this picture. I probably shouldn't even put it up there. If anyone that lives in a house like this, they probably have like family abroad, or again they just got really lucky. But most people like in like rural settings, they live in like homes like this, and like I was actually born in a similar home like this in like my village. So like,
oh, wow.
tells you like where I came from. Like most people are born in like this type of stuff, and like I've actually around like the Tiflan area, like like the desert area of Nepal. Most people don't even have this. They just have like straw and mud because they don't, like they don't have much resources there.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in a lot of countries, you have the United States too, just a huge gap between, the haves and the have-nots.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Um, we talked about this a little bit already. So if you have a TV,
Mhm.
people would normally be watching like stuff from India or South Korea.
Mhm. Honestly, or like the Nepali news if you really care about that, but there's actually like this argument that like formal Nepali is like going away, and that's what the news is spoken in. So I can't really listen to the news because I never really learned how to speak like formally.
You can have like kind of you have conversational Nepali like with your family, but not like the.
I mean, going back to like the like 2 questions ago, last time I went back to Nepal, like I know how to speak Nepali like pretty well, like I would say almost fluently, and like I like no one like my family like I was like never allowed to like leave the house alone because like I can't read or write it, and like being like a female, that's like kind of like taboo or like more like I guess looked down upon, and it's just more dangerous. So like if you go to Nepal, like definitely keep that in mind.
Okay, so so you don't want to be a girl just kind of walking around on your own.
No, not really. Like I would definitely go with groups of people, and yeah,
Gotcha.
because like the border between Nepal and India is actually like sadly it's where the most human trafficking happens in the world. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's when I was looking at some stuff in Nepal, that was the thing that stood out for me too, is the huge human trafficking issue that is there in Nepal.
I actually know my dad was telling me like obviously I don't know the person, but like there's actually people from like our villages that have like been kidnapped and like sold, and like our village was like 6 hours away from Kathmandu, which is pretty far from the border of India. So like it's not just people living next to the border. It's like they seek out people to like kidnap,
Yeah, that's
which is really scary. But like you have to keep in mind like there's not, and like obviously this is like not okay at all to like human traffic, but like like there's really no like system for people in Nepal to succeed, sadly.
yeah. Are there? Uh, here's some other. Let's see. Um, what are some of the main jobs that people would be looking for in Nepal?
Well, if you have an education, like I'm assuming you probably go into like engineering or health or something like that. If not, if you're just like from a rural area and you come into the city, this is actually what my aunt did. Like a while back, you just come in and you work for a like more well-off family as like a servant, and that's kind of how you start like earning money, honestly.
And then hope that as you can make more connections and kind of move up as
Well,
you're
and hope that they treat you well too, because like
yeah.
like there's not that many like I said, there's not like individual rights in Nepal aren't really like a concrete thing. So yeah.
So then uh, would in the United States, for most people, there's kind of okay, well, if a bad guy comes, the police will come help us with that. Is that
Um,
something that people in Nepal would think or not?
I mean, if only if like the bad guy isn't paying the police off as well, because that's a very strong possibility. So like like most of the time, like no, like sadly, like you can't really count on law enforcement or honestly the government at all because it's really corrupt.
Let's see. We talked about. Let's see. Um, oh, we had some questions similar to this. If you were to go to Nepal for one day, what's your favorite thing to do there?
Honestly, I liked. This sounds so. Oh, this is gonna sound so cliche and boring of me, but I really like shopping there, just because like it's so different, and like Nepal is a country where you can like haggle prices, so like that's really fun to do. And like if you like walk away, they'll be like, oh, like no wait, like come back. Like that's like something that like you don't have that culture here in America at all. So
No, not at all.
I enjoy that about Nepal.
So is it like kind of open air markets that you're getting stuff
Yeah,
then?
it's kind of like bazaars, honestly. Like it's just like this street called Tamil in Kathmandu. It's actually like there's a lot of old temples there and stuff too. It's like or it had that like it has a lot of history there. You kind of just walk down the street and shops are just open and you can just like there's just so many colors and like so many artifacts from Nepal and like I think that's like a great way to learn about the country is like kind of like shop for the stuff there. I don't know.
Cool. So what would be um is there a thing that people who visit Nepal like they want to buy there and bring home? Is it like
Singing bowls, a lot of like handcrafted like wool like jackets and gloves and hats. I actually have a few stuff like that.
cool? Let's see. We talked about traditions a little bit already, but you'd mentioned there's a lot of different groups in Nepal.
Yeah, castes really because like you said like Nepal was a part of like British colonial rule and when India when they were separating the countries out like they were like questioning like well because I just took a class about India they were questioning because like Nepal and India are so similar culturally like should it be like one country but like they wanted to be separate just and like I know like India alone has like 10 times more like different traditions than Nepal but
Would let's see, what are some major holidays in Nepal?
there's Diyar which is actually called Diwali different name
Okay.
but thinking about traditions people most people like most girls in Nepal they get married in a red sari so there's no like wearing white in Nepal is actually a sign of like you're either a widow or you're an orphan so like that's kind of different.
So you wear a woman wears red to her wedding then.
Yeah like like most women wear like they have a really beautiful like intricate sari for like their wedding dress.
Cool. Now I know in India there's a lot of weddings that are arranged.
Oh yeah that's actually that's pretty common in Nepal too. um like less so now just because it's different time but like my parents were arranged marriage like everyone in my family that's just how it is and like people that do that it's like they marry like in their caste like it's kind of looked down upon to marry outside of your caste and actually there's a lot of movies some like a lot of Nepali movies about like two people the classic two people falling in love and they're of different castes and like their parents won't let them get married so they have to run away and like you know kind of like a Romeo and Juliet situation but they don't die.
That's good.
Yeah.
Um, so then, is it weird? I would have to imagine that that like dating in Nepal is way different than America.
Oh, you don't really date in Nepal. That's so like frowned upon, because it's a very conservative country. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like the traditions are pretty important there. Like,
So like I know even in the United States, like there was differences between when me and my brothers were, we were well, and Lucas and Dana obviously are not married yet.
yeah.
But then I'd have to imagine like your parents have like it's way different, 180 degrees from where the way they grew up to now what their kid is doing. So that's got to be an adjustment for
Yeah,
everybody.
it definitely is. And like I hope Lucas can hear me talking about this because my dad has never agreed to meet any of like my boyfriends, like past him now. Like he just doesn't want to do it. He's like, no, I don't want to know. Like he refuses. And like obviously that sucks, but like I have to respect that because my parents grew up in a completely different culture. And like
Yeah.
that's the same way in Nepal, like dating is so taboo. Like you're supposed to just get married and you're not supposed to date. That's not a thing. Like my grandma heard me talking about it. Like she would, yeah.
Oh, man. Um, let's see. Yeah, you are in Lucas's apartment. I've
Yes, I am. Out.
I didn't realize that at first.
Oh,
Let's see. That's basically all the questions that we have, and there's some other questions the students had that I didn't have on that list that I don't have in front of me right now either.
okay.
But what are some other? Is there anything else about Nepal that that American kids should know about Nepal that that we haven't talked about?
I think honestly the most important thing is like just growing up in America. I think it's so important to like go and visit other countries and just like to realize like how lucky and grateful you are to like live in America and to know how other people in the world like live, because I think it's just really eye-opening. Every time I go back to Nepal, I come back and I feel like I'm a different person, just because like you see like a lot of like poverty and like slums and like stuff that you don't really see in America unless you like like go out and like look for it. But in Nepal, just because it's so crowded, especially in Kathmandu, like you can walk through like really nice like huge mansions, or like drive through them, and then like next 5 minutes you're in the slums, like.
Yeah.
So, and there are cows roaming the streets always. So.
Okay, because there is a lot. That's a good question. That brings something to mind. So Hinduism, almost everyone is a vegetarian. Is that the case or at least that I could?
People that are Hindu, they don't eat beef, but they're definitely like, I don't know I think if people are like really Buddhist, they can be vegetarian because like you don't kill animals, But most people that are Hindu, they just don't eat beef. And I actually like, because I grew up like pretty Hindu. Like my parents, like I didn't have beef until I was like 11, maybe. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of it. Yeah, it's like very looked down upon because it's like a sacred animal in the religion.
So then, so the cows just roam the streets. Who's other people, other monks or someone? It's their job to take care of the cows.
They just roam the streets because like they're sacred animals. So if someone were to do something like horrible to the cows, like it would be a scandal. Like they'd probably be in jail. It'd be horrific. Like people would be really offended by that.
Wow.
Like my parents have been living in America with them like 16 years something, and like they still have not tried like a single piece of beef. Like they feel pretty strongly about that. So like, yeah.
It's so cool how people are so different in some ways, and then so they're still the same, and they're still people in other ways.
And I mean, like the way I view it is, and it's like, okay, like I obviously do not condone like anyone eating dogs. Like, let me just say that now. But like, it's hypocritical of us like Americans to like say that like they shouldn't eat dogs because like in the Hindu religion, like technically you shouldn't eat beef. So like,
Yeah.
In America, like a lot of people in the world eat beef. So like,
that's a good point. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't condone eating dogs, but I'm just saying like you have to respect other people's cultures, even no matter how much it goes against like your own personal beliefs. Like that's just kind of how the world works.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Kopila, for sharing this with us. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No, just if you ever get the chance to go to Nepal, or like if you're interested in it, like please do. I promise you will not regret it. It's a beautiful country with beautiful people and beautiful food. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we thank our very beautiful guest, Kopila, for talking to us today. And I'll go to end the broadcast here. I thank you guys for tuning in. So we'll see you later.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Broadcast.